Hello, Star Trek fans. Welcome back. It's been a little while. Today we have the Star Trek Strange New Worlds USS Enterprise. Unfortunately, branded under the Star Trek Discovery banner because when they made this, the ship was featured on Star Trek Discovery, of course. Later, it got its own series. So I'm hoping that one day soon, because we've already been through one full season of the show, they do a Strange New Worlds line. Because not only is there the Enterprise, should it be featured under its own banner, but there's multiple other ships in that show that are just awesome. And I would love to see go from the screen to these Eagle Moss models. Because as we know, I'm actually a really big fan of the Eagle Moss product. But yeah, Strange New Worlds just wrapped up its first season. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen it yet, it was quite amazing. If you have a sour taste from... Yeah, man, it really is a shame to have that branding on here. But if you have a sour taste from Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Picard, like many of us do, Strange New Worlds is definitely a breath of fresh air. The show is absolutely fantastic, very well written, well acted, fun but serious, and they do some really, really great things referencing the original Star Trek events and finding ways to like kind of show either their origins or link the show to them. But yeah, you should definitely give it a shot if you've been, kind of avoiding because of, this here. But anyways, moving on, there was a fantastic deal on the Eagle Moss shop. Ooh, that's looking good for now. Let's hope it's all aligned correctly and all that. There was a fantastic deal on the Eagle Moss shop. This model, I believe, is normally like $60, and it was on sale for $18. So there is the base plate there, 3673A/C. Again, I've never known why that matters, but people always want to see that, I guess. Got your little stand holder there. That is a little bit misaligned, but, no big deal. All right, let's get the ship out. Always want to be careful, of course. That one sits in there pretty lightly, not super secure. Get these little extra particles of foam off. Man, this one has some... Oh. Hang on a second. I thought I felt something. Maybe it was just because there's a lot of plastic on this one. Interesting. Alright. So, I thought I felt some movement there for a moment, but that might have just been like my hand. Yeah, I think that was it. Releasing the plastic hull and just getting a kind of reverberation from that. The top of the saucer there is the die-cast metal, but goodness, the rest of the ship is plastic. That is quite disappointing, especially for a model that would normally be fairly spendy. But let's take a look at the detail. Let's start here on the bottom. We actually have very, very detailed paintwork. You have the texturing and wear. At least that's how it appears. I don't know if they purposefully kind of did like a blending of the Aztecing to make it less stand out. I will say that is something that I'm not a huge... Like, the Aztecing, I understand the point of it, but I'm sorry, when I saw the Excelsior on screen, that ship was smooth white. The hull of that ship was a very smooth white. You didn't see, like, patterns in the hull. You just thought, oh, it must be a painted hull. And the Excelsior that I have, as like great a model as it is, has very, very heavy Aztecing, and I actually find it kind of distracting. Now, obviously, this version of the Enterprise has a lot more gray to the hull than we're used to with the original Enterprise from TOS, but I feel like their compromise there was it has Aztecing, but it's kind of more smooth, less jagged. Anyways, to continue the tour here, we have the underside of the ship. Got your little, I guess they were like forward indicators for the saucer, your NCC 1701, correctly painted, one facing backward, one facing forward. You got your red and green navigational lights on either side there. And then you got some pretty nice detail around the hull for the windows, or not around the hull, the edge of the saucer for the windows. So that's kind of cool. And then continuing the bottom, you have your kind of copper deflector here. And that's of course protruding from the ship. That's a nice detail. Glad that didn't break off during shipping or putting, manufacturing. A lot of really nice details along the hull here. So, as disappointed I am in the plastic, the fact that there's a lot of ABS with this, there is good detail. The banner, the Starfleet banner down the side there on the ship. Your colors are all pretty good. Then you get to your warp nacelle here, which of course has that kind of flare to it in this version, which I like. I'll go into a little bit more in a minute, but you have your colorations there leading up to the nacelles, which have a lot of detailing on them as well. You'll have to excuse the thunder in the background. You have your kind of orange capped warp buzzards there. A lot of detail, yeah. The nacelles have a lot of good work in this, because these ones are definitely a combination of NX, TOS, and actually Kelvin inspirations are thrown in there with like these flares. They were similar on the original on TOS, but definitely I feel there's a little bit of TOS, the Kelvin influence thrown in here. And you got the end of the nacelles here with your little blue inserts. That is painted, unfortunately. Just like here, this is also painted. It looks pretty good. It does look pretty good. I'm gonna bring my camera down just a little bit, just easier to see. It looks pretty good, but it is painted, and that's always kind of a disappointment. Anytime you have an opportunity to do like a plastic insert, like for translucent pieces, that's always preferred. You have all the detail that you're looking for. You got your shuttle bay there, little interesting little red and green landing pattern there, painted on, of course. And then you move to like the neck of the ship. Oh wait, yeah, I definitely felt there's a wobble. There's a slight like a back and forth little bit of a wobble in here. Now it's not jarring. I mean, it is if you're not paying it, not expecting it. But it's definitely something to be careful of. So thankfully it's going to go on a stand and probably stay there most of the time. But let's take a look back here. The nacelles, yeah, they're decently aligned. Not seeing any kind of major, yeah, that looks pretty good. And that's always, of course, a potential issue when it comes to an Eagle Moss model. But down here, let's see if I can get an appropriate angle. Down here you have your impulse engines. A lot of good so that this one has lots of detail, pretty intricate. Because even inside the impulse engines there, you have these like grills on the other side of the flare there. So I don't know. It's like they did a real good job with these details, but there's just like I said, I'm a fan of these because I like the die-cast metal, and on some of the ships you have a lot. Some of the ships you'll have the saucer and a portion of the hull. Other ships it'll be like the entire ship, because it's very saucer heavy, will be metal. And then some of them will be like this, where it's literally just the top insert of the saucer section. The entire rest of the ship is plastic. But to be fair, it's extremely detailed, very well painted. You got your windows for your decks here, all painted on, so not even stamped on the hull there. So yeah, there's reason to be happy with this. Sorry, I'm just jiggling that a little bit because it's intriguing me now. Like, is this going to be secure? But there's reasons to be impressed with this at the same time as disappointed. But for a head-on view, there's your typical Enterprise, your typical like silhouette there. Looks very nice. It definitely has the same silhouette as the original. And then of course there's your nacelle details and everything, the top of the saucer here. But with that kind of, the flare was, I think, was meant to indicate that this was an older, like it was a newer ship, obviously, because it's younger, let's say, but older as in the sense of before the original series. And possibly that changes are made later with hull markings and with, the warp nacelle pylons and things like that. But I really like this because it definitely incorporates a lot of the NX. Like you see a lot of that, like the way they do the Bussard caps here, the way those are connected on, and the details on the nacelles, and then adding the blue in here is kind of cool. That wasn't something on the original Enterprise. These were basically just a tube. But there's a lot of these details that indicate this is a ship coming on the not tail end of the NX era, but like, obviously a good, some decades later, but still has those design influences, because that's how they were building ships for a while. They were successful, and that was what they built. It has a little bit more of a military look to it, very functional in many ways, and this flared pylons here obviously kind of matches that, and then very forward, like it has the same silhouette as the original, but with tying it to the past, which is very nice. So that way, when the show does eventually progress to a certain point, maybe it's refit, a retrofit, or maybe they just kind of say, hey, this was the distinct look of the Pike era Enterprise that eventually became the Enterprise we see in TOS. Either who, yeah, I don't know what much more to say. The detailing's really good. The paintwork is really good. It looks very accurate to the show model, and I like it. It's good size. I believe this is a 8-inch model or 8.5 inch. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it up. And there's an XL that comes after this. Maybe that one has more metal work to it. That would be nice. But for the price, I got this for $18 on sale. And that's my big thing, is whenever possible, try to find, unless you really want it or you're worried about them going out of stock. Those are, I believe, torpedo tubes there. There's not really anything shown here for torpedoes, so I'm assuming those are torpedo tubes on the saucer there. And then you got obviously your little phaser arrays. There you go. But whenever possible, I say look for sales. Eagle Moss does sales all the time, whether it's 25% off or buy one get one 50% off, or deep discounts like this. Like I said, this one was only $18. So whatever flaws it may have, worth it for less than 20 bucks with shipping. So anyways, that is that. I'm gonna get it up on the stand real quick, and then we will continue. Alright, so I have it up on the stand, and this is something I always like to kind of give a review, is how it's secure on the stand. And it rests there okay. If it's sitting on your shelf, it's probably not going to go anywhere, but it's pretty loose, honestly. It doesn't snap, like kind of lock into place very well. And it just, I don't know, that bothers me, because I feel like the more movement you have, the more likely you have like possibly wear or scratching on the ship, if it's, jostles at all. And you have to worry about, like, is it going to fall off the stand? Now the actual, let me pull it off here and show you. The actual stand itself is actually pretty secure and tight, but if you look at the way this is set up, it's kind of fits around the saucer but doesn't really hold it in any kind of way. It goes on either side of the impulse engines there, and then I thought, okay, maybe if I press on it, it'll kind of snap into place or tighten into place, but it just doesn't. So that is unfortunate, but it should be enough to hold it on the shelf. So I'm not going to complain too much again for the price I got it for. That's what I'm saying. These, I think they're great models, and it's great. It's a nice effort that they do for these to get us a pre-made die-cast model for Star Trek ships and other brands, Battlestar Galactica, Firefly, etc. But they are not without flaws. So remember that when you buy them, because some of these you're going to pay a good price tag for. You know, like my Enterprise XL, I believe that was like a $80 ship. But it was great. I really like it, and I really wanted it, and it does, you know, it is worth the price if it's something you really want. However, if it's something you're unsure of, definitely try to get it at either one of these deep discounts or on one of these sales, because then you could get it and you'd be like, you know what, it's not exactly perfect, but it wasn't that expensive. I now have the Enterprise from one of my favorite Star Trek shows now, Strange New Worlds, to feature on my shelf and in my collection, and it really wasn't that expensive, even with whatever issues I have with it. It looks nice, it's show accurate, very detailed, and it's a good shelf piece for, you know, not breaking the bank. Anyways, if you enjoyed that, hopefully you check out some of my other videos. I do have the Enterprise XL re-review on my channel. My original review was actually quite bad, and so I redid that. And I have the Excelsior XL, Nebula class. I have a whole bunch. Basically, anytime I get an Eagle Moss model, I do an unboxing and review. Some of them are fairly old and they're not that great, and I'm consistently and constantly working on my setup here. So this is the first video using my new setup with the, you know, camera held above and my lighting. So I will always work on this. I will always take constructive criticism on it and try to improve. So hopefully, you know, even though this is a channel with a lot of Pokemon content, I do Star Trek models, I'm going to be doing Game Boy gameplay. There's all kinds of stuff on here, commentary and all that. So if you like what you see and you're interested in just nerdy stuff, then go ahead, leave a like, comment, you know, with your, you know, constructive criticism or feedback, and subscribe for more in the future as we continue to improve. This is Rival Indigo. See you next time.